Hello and welcome to the finale of Surviving 1984 Garden of Eden. I have Daniel and Kennedy here. They are our final two, and tonight they will face their jury, who they had a hand in voting out. So we're going to start with our opening statements. Each of the final two is going to have 7 minutes to give us their opening. As winner of the final immunity challenge, Kennedy got to decide who would go first. The opposite person would start in closings. Kennedy has elected to go first. And then, so Kennedy will go first in openings and Daniel will go first in closings. So Kennedy, I will start your time when you start speaking. I will put a 1 minute warning in the chat for you when you have 1 minute left. Your time starts when you start talking.
Okie dokie. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I'm very thankful to have gotten to meet all of you guys. I understand we've got some very, very opinionated people on the jury, and I appreciate every single last one of you guys. Here's hoping that everything that has transpired as far as I've been here has led to a great experience. I hope that everybody had a good time in jury. I understand how hard it is to get your game cut short. I understand completely. And I'm hoping that from everything that we talked about today, we understand how we got here, how this point is amazing just to be here. And I'm very thankful to share this stage with Daniel. So Daniel, I appreciate you very much. Production, thank you guys for supporting me, and everybody that was in the jury, thank you for being who you were, because it helped got me to where I am today. So thank you.
Okay. Daniel, your 7 minutes will start when you start talking.
Hi, I'm ready. Hello, everyone. First, I want to thank production. Thank you for taking the risk on casting me. This was my first org. I'm very excited I had the opportunity to play. I hope I made you proud. Obviously, you don't know what type of person you're really casting if I haven't played before. So I hope you're satisfied with your decision. To the jurors, I'm very excited to get to reconnect with you all and explain my gameplay. I'm ready to answer all the hard questions, so bring them. I'm very excited to get into this and own my game. I'm going to be honest about my game. I'm not going to necessarily give you the answer that I believe you're most likely to want to hear. I do want to give you truth and honesty, and I believe that by doing that, I can earn your vote. I'm not entitled to your vote. Coming into the game, I played the game and wanted to play it very assertively. I just got off of playing a live mini the day I actually applied for this game, and my time in that game got cut short very early. In the pre-merge, I was basically at my second tribal, I was out of the game, and it was very frustrating. I wanted another opportunity at this game. It made me doubt a lot of things about myself, because I love this game so much and I didn't know whether or not, it was something about me or something within the game. So just stepping back from that opportunity and coming into this one, I knew that I wanted to play the game assertively, just play the game and make moves, and play it in a way that I don't regret. So starting off the bat, I only had one vote that I had to go to during the pre-merge, which was the Cody vote. I connected with Kennedy immediately. I believe it was day 2 we were making our final two. I connected with Antoinette and I connected with Amaya, 3 people who those connections early on were very important to getting me to where I am today. Starting at the merge, that's when my game really kicked into gear because, I was winning a lot of challenges, wasn't going to tribal all the time. And at the merge, I think my game kind of evolved. There was periods where I had less control, periods where I had more control. I'm going to be honest about that. And where I think I had more and less control, I believe that it wasn't important to be at the forefront and be the person responsible for every move. That's just not reasonable. So, taking a step back and allowing other people to, maneuver their way through the game and make moves that will still benefit me was something important to do. So starting off at the first tribal with the Louise and Danny vote back to back, I knew Louise was going out. Louise was someone who I wish I got to connect with more on the Mesopotamia 2.0 tribe, but there was a big back and forth between Amaya and Louise. It was very clear it was going to be one of them. So knowing that my connection with Amaya was really strong, I needed to protect Amaya and went along with that plan. At the Danny vote, Rodney was calling a lot of shots there. He was really pushing Danny. So that was really just a wake-up call that I needed to kick things into gear moving forward. At the Rodney vote, that was one of the 3 blind sides I was responsible for: the Rodney blind side, the Aaron blind side, and Curtis, I played a large part in. I'm not going to say I take complete responsibility for all 3 of those moves, but I did play a large role in all of them. With the Rodney vote, everyone seemed to coalesce around Rodney for different reasons. I had multiple coalitions in the game. I had alliance with Kennedy, Amaya, Antoinette, kind of my Tigress OG group over there. And then I had new connections with Curtis, who once we got into the swap tribe, we made a final 2 with one another and knew that, playing a game where we had like very strong connection and keeping our alliance very low profile was going to get us far in the game. And it did. With the Aaron blind side, that was the most crucial point in my game because it was at final 8, I believe. And if I weren't to do that, if I weren't to flip the vote, I think things would have shaked out very differently. Because, it started where Antoinette, Chris, and Aaron were telling me it was Amaya. I knew I couldn't let Amaya go there. Amaya was like, let's get out Aaron. People thought she had the idol. So I was very on board with it. Not because I didn't want to play with Aaron. Aaron was someone who I made connections with. We voted with multiple times prior to that. But knowing that she had an idol and knowing that you can't be aligned with every single person, you can't get to the end with every single person's game. You have to cut your losses. And I went along with that plan. I'll move on to the Curtis vote. With the Curtis vote at Final 4, I felt like it was very important to do that. I could have just fulfilled our final 2 and went to the end with Curtis, but I think that would have set me up for second place. I was willing to vote him out. I was willing to vote him out there, give myself a shot at first, then to just go to the end with him and probably guarantee myself second place because Curtis played the strongest social game here. So it is what it is. I'm sorry that it had to transpire in the way that it did. And, I wanted to play this game to win. So I had to make that move there. And then I just want to say that I think I managed my threat level pretty successfully. In touchy subjects, I got voted person most likely to be running the game, most person who thinks they're running the game, but not, whatever. And then person most likely to win the game. But that made me extremely nervous going into the rest of the game. But knowing that I had Curtis, knowing that I had Amaya, knowing that I had people that were willing to protect me, was going to get me through the rest of the game. So to conclude things, I don't believe I played a perfect game, but I do believe that I played a game where I had control at a lot of points in the game. I thought I continued to keep my mind set on how I could get to final 2. And while it wasn't perfect in how everybody left the game, and I'm willing to, face these questions and clear things up as best as I can. I do believe I played the game with purpose, and it would be an honor for you to cast your vote for me tonight.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Okay, so now the game turns back to the jury. We're going to go in the order that you voted them out. So Luis will be first. Luis, you can join us on cam, and your time will start when you start talking. I will give you a 3.5 minute warning in the chat and a minute warning in the chat.
Okay, I'm ready. So hi guys. Can't say I'm happy to be here. I think I'd rather be having a colonoscopy than being here, but I signed up to cast a vote at the end, and I have to do my job. So before I start, I just want to say, Kennedy, you're gonna have to speak up louder. Please don't get up out of your seat and go away. If you need to, go hide in the bathroom. I know you're at work, but this is really important that you really explain your game. which you kind of didn't in the opening speech, but hey, I'm going to give you this time to do it. So Kennedy, I want to ask, what is a big move you can take credit for?
Truly. And I appreciate you for saying that. Of course, yes, I'm working. I've been working the entire game. I've been putting my foot in my mouth for a lot of stuff. I understand how I also just was saying how I didn't have as much oomph to give to the game. I've realized that that's not the case. That's not the case at all. I've been playing a very good game. For me to get all the way from start to finish without having as many targets on my back as I thought I would. I tried to be very vocal about how I felt. It worked out in my favor for the most part. Sometimes I got in trouble, like I did with Fredo. So I understand that it might not look like I didn't do everything. My big moves have been putting myself first, keeping myself on at any time that I needed to, getting the right amount of people's trust, getting sent to exile so I didn't have to do anything that got blood on my hands. That was my big move.
Okay, why do you feel like Daniel shouldn't win this game?
Well, I won't trash talk Daniel, but I will say that there's not a single move that he did not do that I did not already have the idea that he would go that way, or at least that I already knew what was going to happen before it happened. There are things that we've talked about from the beginning. Like I said, we've been working together since day 2. I knew of his, like, let's say, companions in the game, whether or not he's decided to tell that to me personally. I knew where my alliances lie. I knew that if I didn't take them out, Daniel would. If I had something that I knew I needed to protect, I tried to fight for it as hard as I could. I also definitely knew there are some things that you just got to let go. Like being on the wrong side of Fredo, I knew that was going to put a target on my back. Being on the wrong side of Daniel at one point, that put a target on my back. So there's nothing to say that he's not good, but there's nothing to say that I'm not better. I'm going to say that I did the best that I could. I'm very proud of how I played, regardless if I win tonight or if I lose tonight. I did what I had to do.
Okay. Alrighty, so I will go to Daniel. Daniel, in this game, we met around the second time before merge, and then we were together at merge. Why do you feel like you deserve my vote when you really didn't chat with me, you really didn't give me the time of day, and sometimes you would even ignore me by just putting a heart emoji on my message? So why do you feel like I should vote for you tonight?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I'm gonna answer honestly, as I mentioned before. You were someone who I wish I could have put more effort into our relationship with. We never got on call together. We only really spoke on group calls together. And for that, I do apologize. I think there could have been more effort on my part. And I don't want to, I do want to take accountability for that. I do think that I deserve your vote tonight because I did play this game as hard as I could. And there are moves that I do think I am responsible for. Kennedy, I love you so much, but I'm gonna be honest about the game and just what I believe about it. You mentioned that there wasn't like a move that I did that you weren't aware of. I wouldn't say that's entirely true. With the Aaron vote, for example, that was a time where you're on exile. So yes, you weren't there for that vote. But that was a move that I think I was responsible for.
Okay, let me cut you off right there because that wasn't the question, but I appreciate the more what you spoke. So Kennedy, I need you to clear your ears, listen to what I have to say. You see how Daniel is here. You see how he's talking. He's here to win. He's here to play. He's here to, tell the truth. I need you to be up and open, cutthroat. I need you to own up to your stuff. Don't apologize for anything. Don't do anything. I need you to come here to kill, basically, because if you're gonna be here like you did all night, how you answered my question, then you're not gonna win. I'll just say like that. So I just need you to be. Daniel's here to win, and I need you to be here to win. So
I'm here.
okay. Well, thank you guys. That ends my questioning. And yeah, good luck to you guys. Bye.
Mhm.
Thank you, Louise. Next up is Danny. Danny, you may join us, and then when you start talking, I will start your time.
Okay, hi guys. I really didn't prepare anything. Coming into this is really underwhelming. I'm sorry about the background noise. This is really underwhelming, and I am not appreciative of this final two, but it is what it is. And I'm still gonna vote who I think played the best game. So for Daniel, I just want to know what your idea of social strategy is.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think I understand why you're asking that question. As Louise mentioned, and I'm going to be honest about it, I don't think I connected as well, especially with the early jurors, as I did with the people who, were later in the game, because those were people that I really connected with off the bat and knew that were going to go far with me in the game. As for you, I don't want to get off the path of the question. So like, feel free to stop me if like I'm doing too much. But for you, like you were someone I liked a lot off the bat, but it was a very quick vote where, a name was pushed in a group of 4 people in a double tribal, and it kind of just went quickly. You were someone I didn't know immediately. So like, I kind of had to, cut my losses there. So what do I believe is a good social strategy? I think it's important to, get to know people on a personal level. And I'm going to admit with you, with Louise, I don't think I did do that too well. Time was cut short there, but I did make an effort to, especially as I got later into the game and knew that there was a chance for me to get to the end, get on call with people, talk with people. And I learned to enjoy it more. I feel at the beginning of the game, I'm a very introverted person. It's not that easy for me to, speak to, like, it takes getting out of my comfort level to, take initiative and get to meet people. So eventually getting into that later portion of the game and taking the effort to do that, I think, I hope people appreciate that.
All right, thank you. Kennedy, honestly, I didn't see much from you in this game. Like I didn't see much of making big moves and being too strategical. I feel like you kind of just voted and thought with your heart. So can you explain to me how you got yourself to like be here, if that makes sense, through your strategy?
Okay. Thank you so much, Danny. So while I will disagree that I made not big moves, I feel like everything that I did with my heart. Like you said, I always had my best intentions forward. So anytime I put myself out there, I did it with knowing it was going to be me or whoever I put out there. I always knew that if I had to do it, I had to do it all 10 toes down. So it is what it is for me. For moves per se, I will say that I didn't have to do any big moves because I knew that if I put myself in positions where I had people like you, I had people like Daniel, I had people like Curtis who knew the correct way to do it, that if I didn't have to put any blood on my hands, that I could make it farther. I know my mouth could get me into some trouble. It did kind of already, and we've already discussed that before. But I knew if I just stuck to what I knew, had a lot more fun, because every time that I go into a game with a lot more riding on it, like I have to win, I have to do this, I lose. So that's why I made it this far. I made it this far by having fun, because that's what a game is supposed to be like.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you both. I am done here, and good luck.
Thank you, Danny. Okay, next up is Rodney. Rodney, you can hop on cam. I will start your time when you start talking.
All right, all right. I'm a little tired, but here we are. Let's get into this. I miss superlatives, so I'll ask you a little bit of superlatives on how you feel about certain people in the jury. All right, let's start it off. Who is the person you felt helped you the most in the game? In the sense that if they weren't your ally, you feel like your game would have been hindered the most. And just choose one and explain why.
I can start, if that's okay. I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Curtis.
Do you want to go into detail? I think he's frozen.
He
Yeah.
cut out. Yeah.
Okay. Well, until he comes back, I will say for myself, it was Luis. He is very opinionated. He's very calculated, very thoughtful. He does have a lot of smarts about him. So the idea that I could step away from him not voting, it helped. It definitely helped.
I think I'm back now.
You're back.
Can you hear me?
I heard you say Curtis, but we didn't hear the explanation.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So Curtis would be the person that I think helped me the most in this game. We at the Mesopotamia 2.0 swap tribe, we locked in a final 2 together, and we had all intentions to keep it secretive and get as far as we can in the game and get to final 2.
All right, next question. Who do you think in the jury segment of the game was your biggest threat that you felt like if you weren't able to get them out, it would have really affected your game into getting to where you are now?
I do have multiple answers. You want to hear my early juror one or later juror?
I'll listen to 2. Let's keep it to 2.
That's fair. So I'm gonna say that the first one would be you, for the early juror. I think I think you did play a very open game, and you were kind of like putting it all out there, and I appreciated it. And I think we had great conversations and such, but there was a lot of uncertainty and just knowing how you would be as a game player. And I think getting you out earlier was something that helped me get further in the game. Later, I think Curtis, again, we had a final 2, but I knew that if I weren't to vote him out at final 4, then I'd be sitting in a final 2 where I'm likely to get second place. And I didn't want to set myself up for that.
Well, Kennedy.
Hi, I don't want to sound disrespectful because I know, yes, I am working. I am very much paying attention. But I do also have a job. So I do want to put that out there.
Hey, we have time. I'm not going to be asking questions throughout the whole duration, so you can take your time.
I understand. For me personally, I knew you had a lot of opinions, which also intrigued me about you. Definitely made me want to talk to you, but also made me a little scared of whether or not I would fall on the opposite end of your have to keep list. My opposite would also have been Amaya. She's very, very smart, she might have not have been as active as everyone else, but she always seemed to have the game plan before everybody knew what everything was. She always knew who the best option would be. So I feel like if she was here instead of me, it would be a little bit of an easier vote, I think, at the end, which made it be a little easier when people said that it was time for her to go.
All right. Last question. A little easy one. Who is the person that you enjoy talking to the most? And no, let's not go that far. Just the person you enjoy talking the most, not the opposite.
I'll start. I'm gonna say Amaya. I think me and Amaya really clicked really well. And I know Rodney, like you were really set on getting Amaya out, but Amaya was someone who I really did have great conversations with and knew that like I could trust in the game. Every single time we were on call, it was just like we were laughing, like able to joke about the game. It was a fun time. So Amaya would be my answer on that one.
For myself, it was either with Fredo or Antoinette, which I understand most people didn't get the chance to talk to them in a capacity where they were able to fully let their guards down. And for them to be able to let their guards down with me, I feel like that's very important. And I didn't take it for granted. We've had our highs and lows, because there's been times where I voted for them. There's been times where I'm sure they wanted to, choke me out, I'm sure. So I would say I'm very thankful to have them be part of my Survivor experience.
Okay. I think Daniel already kind of said this with his person he didn't feel like he connected with, but I just want to hear, Kennedy, who is the person that you felt like you wish you put more time into to getting to know and possibly work with?
If not if not you, then I would have chose
Okay.
Louise. Honestly, yeah.
I did not want me to be picked. It's fine.
No, I'm not saying that because you're asking the questions, but I'm saying that because your last day we actually spoke on almost an hour, just about life, just about honestly everything under the sun. It felt like nothing game related, but I feel like if it was so easy for us to talk about life, imagine how easy it would have been if we were on the same page about game. Same with Luis. There was times where I was like a little too scared to ask him about his opinion on the game, which I'm sure that might bite me in the butt for this, but I would like to talk to you guys a lot more.
Thank you, Rodney. Erin is not here. She did send me a pre-vote just in case she's not able to make it at all. So next up we have Fredo. Fredo, your time starts when you start talking.
Hello, bitches. I'm back. First of all, I mean, I guess that I have to say congrats because you guys are there and we are not. So like, at least that's something. I have been thinking about what I have been wanting to say to you guys. And I think that's something that really stuck to me during this game. Is one of my conversations with Erin was when we were talking about how can you make this game just game related and not like put the personal things into that. And something that I was very open about it during my confessionals was that where do you draw the line between the game and personal, because we're trying to put all our effort into this game. Like we are in calls for hours with you guys. We're working like Kennedy and doing this shit. So like, how can you separate like just being a personal thing and just a game thing, So, and Daniel, you just mentioned something really funny to me because you said that one of the most important social abilities that somebody has to have is to get to know people on a personal level. So my question for both of you is that I want you guys to tell me one thing. It's not that hard. So one thing that is really personal about me. I don't want you guys to tell me my favorite color or where I'm from, but like if you put that social effort with me, like Daniel said that he did, or like Kennedy just said that I enjoy my talk the most, then tell something deep about me, personal, that I share with you during this game. Daniel, you can start.
Yeah, I'll start. And again, I'm going to be honest. I feel we didn't have those conversations where it was deep. So I'm not going to sit here and try to think so hard or make something up. I'm just going to be upfront about that. And I do, again, what you were saying about like the personal and game, like once you were blindsided on that vote and I went to apologize to you, you were like, there's only so much game left to play. And you like cut me off there. So I didn't want to go and like, I apologize. And I hope, like you understood where I was coming from, but I also I wanted to respect your space and didn't want to chase you down and make you more uncomfortable. So.
That's valid. Kennedy.
Well, not to sound like I'm tap dancing for you or anything, but we have spoken about your sister's wedding. We've spoken about your studies at school. I believe you're still studying to do tech. I'm not mistaken, it's not just biomedical, but we've spoken on occasion about life. We've spoken about how our conversations with you calling me a bitch was strictly game and how I took that as personal. So that experience has made me think a lot better about how do I navigate personal and game, because it does take a toll when you're like, this person I've been talking to for like weeks just called me a bitch and I have no idea why. And then it really does like put a script in your head. You're like, I have no idea why, because your brain doesn't know, but your heart is like, that was a real bad attack on me. Your brain is like, that has nothing to do with you. Because at the end of the day, we still talked, we still got through what we had to do. We both apologized, we moved forward. And truly, I think that's the best way I can describe that.
Thanks, Kennedy. I mean, thanks to both for your answers. I think that something that I wanna say to you, I mean, Daniel just said that it's his first org. I don't know how much experience Kennedy has, but something that I have noticed, and most of the jury members have we talk about, you two specifically, is that there is something really important in these games. At the end of the day, we're doing it just for fun, but also to entertain ourselves, you know? We're not playing for a fucking $1 million because like Michael is greedy and doesn't want to share his money, so that's okay. But I think that one important thing about this is that we have to have fun and also give something to the people that is spending their time watching us and spending time with us. So I have noticed that both of you are really passive players, which I mean, it's not a bad thing, but when we have two passive players on the end, it's kind of boring for the rest of us. So like, if you cannot handle confrontation, like when I call Kennedy out and then we have a conversation because Kennedy felt bad because of what I said, or like when I call Daniel to fuck off and he cannot like stand being called out, then maybe you shouldn't be playing this game because you guys think I'm bad. There's people that is bad, that worse than me. So like, I guess that's my advice that I'm gonna give to everybody watching. If you are not ready to confrontation, don't play these games. I made a promise before in my last travel console of this game in Final 7, that I was never gonna vote for a certain person. And as everybody knows, I was voted the most on it, so I'm gonna keep my word to that. So the person that I'm voting for you, but not because you are the better player, because you are definitely not. It's just because I made a promise more to myself than to the game. So congrats on that, and best of luck to both of you. Adios.
Thank you, Fredo. Okay, next up is Amaya. Amaya, your time starts when you start talking.
Hi, the queen has arrived. I'm sick, so excuse my voice. If you need me to speak up, just let me know. My first question is going to be for Kennedy, because this is something that to this day is still bugging the hell out of me. Did you self-vote on purpose for the Rodney vote? Because to me personally, I do feel like that was a cop-out. You were active literally minutes before tribal, and then you, and girl, I'm still a little salty, so I need some clarification.
Okay. I did not purposely self-vote. I actually, like how I am always, working. So at that night, there was a storm. So I had to decide whether or not it was better to just fully turn my phone off or, hope for the best. Like right now, I have 8% on my battery. So at that moment, I didn't even think about it. I was checking people in. So I did self-vote. Michael has chewed me out multiple times about it because he's like, you have to be on your A game. So I understand this was not a great moment. I understand that. But no, I did not purposely self-vote. Do I wish I did? Maybe, because then I would add a little bit more to your doubt, maybe. But no, I did not self-vote on purpose.
Okay, and with that, I have one more question for you. What would you say your biggest fault in this game has been?
To this day, I feel like my biggest fault was not believing that I could get to this point and trying to like squeeze in where I could fit in when I really could have just acted a whole fool and still got to where I wanted to be. So I do agree with Fredo. We're both very passive players. Sometimes that works. Sometimes that doesn't work. So I understand that at the very end, you're kind of like, what exactly did they do? This is like comparing two different types of like frosted flakes. One's just more frosted. I understand that. So I definitely get that. I wish I was a little bit more vocal about things like I was in my production chat.
Okay, thank you. If we're comparing Frosted Flakes, I'd say like Corn Flakes to Frosted Flakes. I just won't say which is which. But Daniel, for you, hi babe, missed you. I want to know, because you said earlier in your opening speech that you kind of hinted that you orchestrated the Aaron move, but then you said that I was the one who orchestrated the Aaron move. So what is one move that you claim as your move? Like, not like, I want you to take credit for this, not like, well, I didn't orchestrate it per se, but like what's something that you can claim was like part of your game, like your winning game?
Yeah, thanks for like raising that and letting me clarify that. Because yeah, I wanted to be honest and like give credit where credit's due. I do think I am responsible for that vote, because when I heard your name was out there and I knew that like I was ride or die with you at that point in the game and I was going to do anything I could, I came to you with that information. I said, let's flip this. I shared that I had an idol with you because we were close at the time. I had a connection with you. I was ready to just play it as far as I could with you because we were vibing on a game level, on a personal level. I was like, I'm just going to do anything to keep you in this game. So when I did credit you in my opening statements, that's because you had the connection with Fredo that I didn't necessarily have. So once I shared that information with you, you were able to pull in Fredo. I had a really strong connection with Curtis as well. So I was able to convince him at the last minute to come in on that vote as well. So I think I was sort of the catalyst for that happening, but you definitely played a role in it as well.
Thank you. And then the same question for you, what would you say your biggest gameplay flaw was, or like where your biggest weakness lied with your gameplay?
Yeah. As a lot of the jury is raising, and I'm going to admit it's on the social front. This being my first org, I appreciate the jury kind of giving me that feedback. I was expecting it. I'm aware, like when I took notes and thought about how this game transpired, that's like my immediate like red flag for me. Like I didn't necessarily put as much effort as I should have into relationships, especially with those early jurors. And, you know, I think I did, as Fredo kind of raised, like, I think I kind of took it a lot more seriously than I should have, especially at the beginning. Like, I didn't really understand the vibe here, like what people come to this for. And people do come to this to make friends and have fun. And I wanted to do that as well. You know, being introverted, it's hard enough for me to like put myself out there and just, you know, get myself into this game where I have to manage and talk with so many people at once. But, you know, I'm definitely, you know, just hearing all that feedback is kind of, you know, informing how I want to play these games going forward, because it is important to connect with people. And I do apologize and feel bad for not connecting with everyone here.
Well, thank you. I would say, yeah, just give yourself, like, that's how you make allies, by being yourself. Give us your full self, your emotions. Like, that's how you play the game. Ultimately, I know jury has been kind of harsh, but you two obviously did make it to the end. We did not make it to the end. And so you're here, we're not. Congratulations and best of luck to both of you.
Thank you, Amaya. Okay, next up is Antoinette. Antoinette, I will start your time when you start talking.
Friends, well, first off, I do want to say congratulations, because it definitely has not been said enough. I adore you both. You both are so slay. And I'm excited to ask you questions. So I'm going to start with Kennedy. Kennedy, I appreciate all of the answers that you've been saying thus far. I will be honest with both of you. My vote is open right now. You still need to convince me, so please bring your A game for the last couple of people in your closing statements. But at least for Kennedy, my first question for you, specifically on Live Night, was there an actual reason that you sent me to exile at Final 11, or was it solely like what you said, that it was just like I was on your screen?
For sending you to exile, truly it was because I saw you and I said, I love that girl way too much to put her in another like position to be on target because you were a target. You're a comp beast for sure, Antoinette. I don't know how many times people need to tell you that you are, but you were fully sick holding on to a ping pong ball. That's crazy. So yes, I was going to send you, I was going to send Daniel, Amaya, anybody that I knew at the end of the day would accept me. So I was like, I gotta send her. Also, you had the most money at that time. So I was like, I'm definitely taking her money. Of course I am. So yeah, that's why I sent you.
Okay, real. It was round two. I think a lot of people had all their money, but anyway. Also another question for you. Did you write my name down at Final Five? If you did, tell me why. If you didn't, also tell me why.
I see, because I have to think back as far. Let's see. No, I actually, from the last couple of votes, and I'll just work my way backwards to see if that is final five. Final three, I voted for Chris. No, final three, I voted for Curtis. Final four, I voted for Daniel. Sorry about that, Daniel. I did lie to you. And before that,
It was me, babe.
I believe it must have been because at one point I did have to vote publicly, and if it was in red, it was my name. I put that. So if it was me and it was in red, then yeah, that was definitely me. If I why did I vote for you? Well, I voted for you because again, they obviously knew that you were a comp B. I didn't want you to go, but I knew it would be best just to stay in the majority, which you can say that that was a very scary gameplay. I knew it then. I believe it now, so I understand.
So my next questions, I don't know how I'm doing on time. Okay. My next question is for Daniel. So my first question for you is, you mentioned it in your opening statement, but we had a solid connection early on in this game. I saw you as somebody that I really wanted to work with. I saw you as somebody who I thought was going to be super strategic, and obviously like that seemed to be the case, and you were somebody I definitely wanted to work with. However, when it got to merge, I feel like our conversation just kind of dropped off. I'm not really sure what happened. I tried to make an effort and put myself out there because you were somebody I genuinely liked. However, I mean, you did mention it, but your social game, I think it did definitely slip. However, I was somebody whose name was already out there, and I felt like I wanted to trust you. Was there a specific reason that you didn't trust me? Or was there a specific reason that you didn't use me as a number? Because I feel like that's something you could have done to set yourself apart.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely happy to explain that. I think for us, it really started at that Aaron vote where you were sort of left out from that, because once like that all happened so suddenly, and like the 4 votes were there to make sure that it wasn't Amaya and that it was Aaron, and then you were left out. And I think it was just difficult, especially navigating like those conversations with you and Chris, and like seeing if there was still that same amount of trust that we had. And I'd understand if there wasn't that same amount of trust on your end. I'm not sure if that was the case or not, but for me, it made me especially nervous just thinking that, oh, she might be ready to strike back and get revenge on me. So that on the game front, that's why like I sort of kind of put up a wall with you after that point. But still, like I think we had like great conversations, like especially the last few days, like before you went. And I love you. I loved getting to know you. But on the game front, like there definitely was a wall there because there was just a lot of uncertainty. And then also the fact that you're very strong in challenges. You were someone who I was looking at because I was thinking to myself, she's going to get to the end with comp challenges and she's flying under the radar. So at that point, I was just like, love her, but she needs to be out of the game if I want a path to the end.
I had another question for you, but you kind of answered it. So I will drop my time. Thank you guys. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning of my time, please continue to fight, continue to do what you're doing. Love you both and good luck.
Thank you, Antoinette. Next up is Curtis. Curtis, your time starts when you start talking.
All right, we're gonna get real. Kennedy, if I were a mukbang, what 3 foods would I be? Go.
I'm thinking pizza. I'm thinking a sushi board, and I'm also, oh God. Oh, another type of food as well. Maybe a mango.
Kennedy, I said 3 foods. You ate 5 in front of me. Like, what would I be?
That's literally what I said.
You said pizza and sushi. Name one more.
I literally said pizza, sushi, and a mango.
I've never had a mango. I would probably like it. Daniel, my vote is dependent on this question. When I got voted out, I said you would not be in the game without me, and you acted like surprised. Do you think you could have been here without me?
I want to say that I think I don't exactly remember how I reacted, but no, the answer is okay. The answer is no. I think you did carry. I'm not going to say carry me, but you informed a lot of the game information I had and made it a safer place for me in the game.
Well, I love you both. Bye.
Okay, thank you, Curtis. Okay, last up, we have Chris. Chris, your time starts when you start talking.
Hello. How are you guys though? Actually, no, don't answer that. Kennedy, I know that, you asked me, you pretty much dared me to like wear this even at Final Tribal. So I'm gonna keep my end of the bargain. So let me just like wear this first and foremost. But yeah, Kennedy, let me start with you because I was gonna ask you what song are you looking forward to listening when you watch Beyonce?
I'm looking forward to Heated because that's how I feel right now. Very aggressive, very just. I want this. Be very honest with everybody. I want this to be over and done with. I love you all. I appreciate everything y'all had to say, but I've been so sick and tired of the like. She's not doing enough. She's not acting out. She's not doing like very passive answers. I get it. I understand y'all are very angry because I would be too. Now I'm heated. So that's how I feel. Thank you so much, Chris.
Okay, so my other question is basically I just want to ask why did you decide to take Daniel instead of me?
I believed myself. I was like, Chris, if this was opposite and you were me, I would have immediately voted for you. Immediately. And I felt to myself, if I could go and immediately just drop this final 2 deal that I've had with Daniel just over Chris, I couldn't imagine what anybody else would do if it was me and you. So I felt like it would be easier. Also, I'm not gonna lie, we were allies together. I figured I would want at least one ally in the house to be on my side if I even get a vote. So I appreciate whatever happens after this.
All right, thank you. Daniel, so who did you think had the other half of the Adam and Eve advantage?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I was very open. It became open information with Fredo. I'm gonna say it was definitely an early juror. I'll say it was Danny.
Okay, just to clarify, I had it. And I just didn't want you to have a second idol because I wanted to have 2 idols with me. So
Okay.
there you go. Okay, so you did mention throughout like your answers that, okay, you mentioned how you were ride or dies with Amaya. You had a final 2 deal with Curtis. We both had a final 2 deal as well. So my question to you now is, Like, did you actually have like an actual ride or die in this game that you were gonna be loyal to, or was it more so that like you had like people that you wanted to stick to the most as the game changed and progressed?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, to be fair, I think our final two didn't come until like once we were at final four. So I think it's a little different when you're like making final two like in the pre-merge or like at the merge. Clearly like it was like a last minute, like we like after the Curtis blindside, we were kind of like bonded and we had that going. But throughout like the game, I was sort of navigating like having a early in the game it was Kennedy, but once we hit the merge, I feel like Amaya and Curtis were kind of like competing for who do I want to take to the end. And ultimately I didn't have to make that decision because I like fought for Amaya to stay in the game as much as I could, but with that round with all the idols, like that just how it landed there. And then I knew, oh, I only have Curtis now, but then I see Curtis is a huge threat. And if Curtis was here, clearly, as everyone has explained, like he had, or is alluding to, he had like the better social game. I think he was connected with most, if not all people here, and probably would have won the game if I did a final two with him to the end. So yeah, I had final twos, but I was close to all those people, but I had to navigate and think what's going to be the best case scenario for me at the end. And ultimately it kind of just fell out without me having to make that decision because of how people left the game.
All right, thanks. Okay, one final question for the both of you guys. And I mean, let me just like keep it real here, because like I want to know myself. Which votes do you think you guys will have now that we're already reaching like your final speeches in a bit? Daniel, I'll start with you. Which votes do you think from the jury you'll get after everything has been said so far?
Yeah. I'm just gonna say what I think, honestly. I think I could have Louise's vote, Rodney's vote, Danny's vote, Amaya's vote, Antoinette's vote, Curtis's vote, and your vote. I don't think I get Fredo's vote.
All right, Kennedy?
I appreciate how much confidence Daniel has. However, I don't believe it would be as close of a call as he thinks it would be. I truly believe that I'm operating truly on a big brother, expect the unexpected. I'm hoping for Luis. I'm hoping for Curtis. I'm hoping for, honestly, Rodney too. I'm hoping for a lot of the guys to pull over. I would hope for Danny, Amaya, and Antoinette, as we had some pretty solid connections as well afterwards. But truly, I don't see Fredo voting for anybody, honestly, besides Fredo. So if Fredo does vote for me, I understand. Not because he liked me, not because I was his favorite, honestly, because he hates Daniel. So maybe that would be the only one that I can guarantee like I get a vote for. So appreciate that, Fredo, if that's the case.
All right, well, thank you so much again to you guys both. Good luck and congratulations to you. Love you both.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, final two. Good job, but your job is not quite done. You are going to each get 2 minutes to do your closing statements. Daniel will be first. I will give you a 30-second warning in the chat, and then I will cut you off at 2 minutes. So Daniel, your 2 minutes start when you start talking.
Yes, so I'll keep this short. Well, I only have 2 minutes anyways, and I really have to pee. But I think I played the strongest game I possibly could. I played on the strategic front, I played with intention. When I went to vote, I voted for a reason. I didn't vote randomly. I had intentions when I went to vote. I had an idol. I kept that knowledge to myself. I shared it with Amaya because she was someone who I trusted, and she seemed to have kept that information to herself, and I was willing to use that on her if need be. But I did have connections with certain people in this game, Curtis, Chris, that sort of sustained me within this game. Again, thank you for pointing out my social flaws in the game. Going in tonight, I knew that was going to be my worst area, and I hope I explained it as best as I could. I came into this with the intentions of being honest. So I was honest to the best of my ability. I believe that I played a strong game. I believe I played the stronger game, and it'd be my honor to have your vote tonight.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay. Kennedy, your 2 minutes starts when you start talking. I will give you a 30-second warning in the chat.
Whew, child, never not working, which you can say that about literally anything at all. I'm very thankful for the tough love tonight because it did put a fire under my ass. And I understand leaving this game, like I said, we must have had personalities of Wonder Bread. We must be more boring than letting paint dry. But somehow I outlasted, I outplayed, and I won. I did what I had to do. I did what I needed to do. Anything that was confusing, I hope I said what I had. I can't say I'll kick myself for it because I got to where I am. I had a great time. I said it in my intro video that I was just going to be here for a good time. If it's a long time, that's great. If not, I've gone through every single tribal wondering, is tonight going to be the night? There was times where if Danny didn't tell me about Alex, that would have been my night. If I didn't secure myself going into exile, that would have been my night. If there was times where I didn't find an idol or an advantage, that would have been my night. So whether or not it may have been passive to everybody else, it was ride or die, have to win this to keep myself going every single night. And tonight is just one more night.
Okay, thank you both. Okay, jurors, you are now going to be voting for who you want to represent your season of Surviving 1984. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. We'll do 11:07. I'm also going to send the link over to the pre-jury if they would like to join for this vote reveal. So at 7 after, I will be back with the votes. Good luck. Okay, I have the votes. If everybody would like to come on camera, you may do so. I'll give it just another minute or so. Luis, would you like to come on camera? I think you're the only one I'm waiting on.
I'm driving, so if I crash,
Okay,
you'll
you're
see it.
good. You're good, you're good. Okay, I have the votes. These are the votes for a winner. We do have a winner. Before we get to the votes, this has been a wonderful season. Jory, thank you so much. Final two, good luck. I have the votes. You want to see your name? There are 9 votes. It takes 5 to win. First vote, Kennedy. Second vote, Daniel. 1 vote Kennedy, 1 vote Daniel. Third vote, Daniel. Fourth vote, Kennedy. 2 votes Daniel, 2 votes Kennedy. Daniel. Kennedy. 3 votes Daniel, 3 votes Kennedy, 3 votes left. 7th vote, Daniel. 8th vote, and the winner of Surviving 1984, Garden of Eden, Daniel. Congratulations, Daniel. You have won by a vote of 6-3. If you have anything you'd like to say, you may do so.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for voting for me. I'm excited to get to know you all. Those who I haven't, I'm sorry if like it seems like I was hard to get to know. This is my first org and it was like a little tricky for me, but I'm excited to have won. Like it's crazy. That's all I gotta say. But thank you.
Okay. Congratulations to both of our finalists. Well, we good. Okay. So just so you know where the votes were, Kennedy's votes were from Fredo, Aaron, and Luis. Everybody else voted for Daniel. Both of you played great games. We would have been proud to have either of you as our winner. So now we're going to get into some awards. So I'm going to go on screen share for these awards. Give me just a second. So as I said before, if we could try to keep conversation with the awards to a minimum, we do have quite a few to get through. Okay. Let me go on screen share, maybe. Okay. Get my stuff out of the way. There we go. Okay. The first award we have is the Untapped Potential Award. Our nominees for this being Autumn, Cody, and Luis. Autumn was somebody who just didn't really get much of a chance in this game, unfortunately. She ended up going to exile for quite a while. Cody was sick during his round, and then Luis played a pretty good game pre-merge, but just didn't get to go to any tribals, and then unfortunately left at the beginning of our live night. This award goes to Luis. Luis, you are somebody that we casted last season. We were so excited to have you, and then you were not able to play the season. So when you applied this time, we were really excited to have you. You and Fredo talked a lot during that pre-merge portion of the game. Prod kept getting upset that you guys weren't losing comps because you were one of the most active duos in the game, but we never got to see you guys work together for a vote until like the very end of merge. So we were getting a lot from Luis, and then you were just gone. So it was very unfortunate.
I want to thank God for this award. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have the Most Loyal Award. Our nominees being Danny, Fredo, and Luis. Just to comment on Danny specifically, Danny was so loyal to the fact, like when Curtis came in so upset from in the jury, Danny was like immediately turned off to people because they felt that Curtis got hurt. And so that was like a very loyal thing for me to see. But this award does go to Fredo. Fredo was very loyal to his people. He was very hurt when his people were not loyal to him back. So that is why Fredo gets this award. Most emotional moment, we have Fredo and Aaron after live night. And then Fredo crying to Daniel before voting for Kennedy, and then Curtis's elimination. This award goes to Fredo and Aaron after live night. Obviously, this put Aaron into a point where she was kind of just done with the game. She felt like she had personally hurt Fredo. Fredo was upset to the point where he didn't even want to talk personally with Aaron. And Fredo ended up on a confessional crying. Aaron was upset. It was a whole thing. So yes.
I want to say thanks to Erin for that fight because, bitch, we did it. We did it.
Okay. Next award is the best fight. So we have Chris and Curtis, Daniel and Fredo, and then Rodney and Danny, or Rodney versus Danny and Hunter. Daniel and Fredo was obviously after the Aaron, was it? No, it wasn't Aaron. It would have been
After Rodney.
After the Rodney vote. And then Rodney, Danny, and Hunter was during the exiling. But then Chris and Curtis was like 3 or 4 different times during the game, to the point that they like wanted Prod to not be there because it was getting so much. So this does go to Chris and Curtis because it happened like 3 times. And yeah, all the way to the very bitter end of Curtis's game, they were still going back and forth. But you guys were also loyal to each other as well, so we'll get there later. Next up, the best rivalry of the season. So we have Antoinette versus Daniel, Danny and Hunter versus Rodney, and then Aaron versus Fredo. Antoinette versus Daniel was very interesting because Daniel was like not trusting Antoinette, but there was almost no reason for him not to trust her. And then Antoinette was trying, like it was just such a back and forth. And then Aaron and Fredo we already kind of touched on, but this award does go to Danny and Hunter versus Rodney.
As it should.
This is a very interesting rivalry to me because these were the 2 people that Rodney like really wanted to work with at the beginning of the game, and then all of a sudden they're like completely against him and he has no idea it's even coming.
Yeah, I wanted to work with them, and then they were like, oh yeah, you wanted to vote out Danny and wanted to work with Curtis and Chris. I'm just like, oh, I did? That's cool. Awesome. And at that point I was just like, okay, maybe I should have worked with Curtis and Chris and not even entertained it, but it is what it is.
Absolutely not.
Zach.
Hi, I don't know if y'all can hear me. But I did want to comment on this very quickly and briefly. I mean, it does require kind of an in-depth discussion, but I mean, the whole situation between Danny and Hunter and Rodney is definitely very interesting because they kind of made Rodney out to be this big villain on the Euphrates tribe that really it should have never really been that. And it kind of lasted the entire season, and it got Rodney out into a really bad place from the jump. So he really never got the chance to, I guess, really play with people the way that he had wanted to. And that's why we did give it to this, because it really did impact the entire season for, I would say, all 3 involved.
No way! That's a shocker. Oh my
Genuinely,
god.
I'm so, I'll just apologize right here now. Rodney, I'm so sorry that I made you out to be a sexist. You're not sexist. You're actually just a dude who's bad at Fortnite, but you're funny at the same time.
Danny meant to say you were sexy. Danny misspoke.
Okay, we will continue.
Anyways.
Okay. The most dramatic award, we have Danny, Fredo, Hunter, and Louise. I don't know if much of this takes much explanation, but we did give this to Fredo. Fredo got turned on in one round and then was hating life and hating everyone, which is valid. It's totally valid, but it does land you with most dramatic. You were one of the only people that was really willing to call people out publicly, which I enjoyed watching. But yes, you are the most dramatic, as you should be.
Oh my god, thank you. I don't know what I'm gonna do with all these awards when I leave this place. Like, I don't have that many hands, but thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. Best confessionals. We have Danny, Daniel, and Fredo. Daniel and Fredo were very much never afraid to go on a live confessional with us and give us all their thoughts. But Danny's confessionals were very much just out of the blue, voice message confessionals, always giving us the tea. Production really enjoyed it. A lot of you guys did give really good confessionals and insight on your game, but Danny's were definitely some of the most entertaining for Prod to watch.
The reason why is because all these people stressed me out.
Oh, all these people stressed everybody out, Prod included, but it was good. It was fun.
Not the Prod.
Okay. The messiest player. We have Alex, Danny, and Kennedy. Kennedy, I just want to say you are on this because of choosing to use a wheel to vote sometimes, which is totally valid and totally fine. It just
Hey now.
Girl,
I did what I had to do. Don't call me
tell
a
me
coward.
I'm out to a wheel right now.
But this award has to go to Kennedy's favorite person, Alex. Alex not only picked his tribe, but then got voted out unanimously by his tribe, including the person that he said was his untouchable in Antoinette, who Antoinette was told pretty much at the last minute about this vote and wasn't really ever in on it. Alex made almost every possible 3-person chat you can make in that group. Alex was very much set up, probably the best of that tribe. You had Chris and Danny there that easily could have been picked off and weren't. There was a lot of other options there, and Alex still managed to leave there. Danny, I see your hand.
I love how y'all said to wear black and he just said, fuck the rules, I'm wearing gray. I love Alex for that. He's cunty in every way.
Okay, move on to Robbed Preacher. We have Autumn, Cody, and Hunter. I kind of touched on Autumn and Cody earlier. Hunter, honestly, Danny and Hunter could have easily used Danny's extra vote that they did have. That was a thing. And could have just controlled what happened on that tribe. However, Chris made sure that didn't happen, as well as Curtis. But we are giving this award to Cody. I think Cody had a lot of potential in this game, but just unfortunately with how things landed with that round, he unfortunately was the boot there. I think Daniel has a lot to Kennedy to thank for that, because Daniel's name definitely was out there that round and Kennedy made sure that that didn't happen. Antoinette and Alex were talking about possibly flipping it on Daniel there and chose not to. A lot of that pressure did come from Kennedy. So yeah. Next, as you kind of saw because I clicked it, Robbed Juror. Our nominees are Amaya, Danny, and Luis. Luis ended up going in a round where he felt comfortable enough to not even vote that round in live night. And then Danny, it was literally a quick, like, I was about to call time decision and your name was said and agreed upon. And then there was like not any time for anybody to have told you or given you any warning. And then Amaya, with all the idols going around that round and you not winning that immunity. Unfortunately, it was essentially going to be between you, Kennedy, and Curtis, and whoever didn't win immunity there. And with Curtis winning immunity, there was only 2 options. And unfortunately, that was you that round, and that's why you are the robbed juror. You definitely had a pretty good handle on this game from the beginning. Prod loved you, players loved you. You were the first one revealed, and everybody was like immediately in love with you. And despite you having to work a lot of the time, you still were able to do that. So, okay. Next up, the Worst Reads Award. So we have Antoinette, Luis, and Rodney. Antoinette, unfortunately, a lot of your pre-merged tribes, there were a lot of people working together that just didn't include you, which easily could have. And I think what Prod has talked about was we think that your idol definitely put a shade over you and made you play kind of scared, which is fine. It's valid. And then this award does go to Rodney. As we mentioned earlier, you wanted to work with the exact people that did not want to work with you.
I just want to say, it's really hard to predict when somebody is like pushing that you're a sexist. Like, how am I supposed to know people are pushing that as what I am as a person and making it a personal attack? So like, how am I supposed to think that somebody's doing that? Like, I'm cool with people going after me, like Curtis. Like, the fact that I
Kennedy, speak up. Kennedy, speak up.
Oh, so for me, it's just like, how was I supposed to know people are gonna throw personal shit at me? So it is what it is.
I didn't vote you out because you were a sexist. I voted you out because you talked as loud as me, and I didn't like that.
And nobody is as loud as Amaya. That is the #1 rule. That's what I learned.
No, I love you guys. You guys are cool. Game wise, I'm cool with it. Just that specific part of the game.
As a sexist, a man won, so you're happy.
100%.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You're not a sexist. I'm just kidding. You're not a sexist. Prove it.
Okay, we'll move on.
I know it's a joke.
To the best reads. We have Daniel, Aaron, and Curtis. This award does go to Daniel. Curtis definitely had some pretty good reads, but Daniel was able to Daniel was able to know who to cut and when to cut them. I don't know if another prod wants to elaborate on this, but
like I'll say real quick that Daniel, like at all times, like had a very firm handle of both where he stood in the game and who he could be loyal to and who was truly loyal to him. He understand his perception. Like he understand like going into the night, the jury was not the biggest fan of him. And he like just had such a great self-awareness that I think almost everyone else was like somewhat lacking.
Yes. Okay. Erin, for me, had really good reads, but she didn't really have the social capital to be able to do much with it. But I do think that had Erin, I think we'll end up getting this, but had Erin not flipped on Fredo, I think Erin's in a pretty good position. But she did have some pretty good reads in this game. Next up, we have the underdog of the season. So we have Antoinette, Autumn, Fredo, and Rodney. I feel like most of this is very self-explanatory, but we did give this award to Rodney. Rodney came into this game. You should have been first boot on your tribe. You should have been second boot on your tribe. You were able to get exiled there. You were able to get in with your swap tribe to get Tara out. You definitely were on borrowed time for most of the time you were in this game. And up to the point where you ended up leaving, you got yourself into a pretty good position for how bad of a spot you were put in at the beginning of the game. So that is why you are the underdog of the season. And we'll move on to worst move. We have quite a few here. So first off, we have Alex making too many chats. We've already talked about that. Danny and Hunter versus Rodney. That 3 could have been much better. I think a lot of them, or all three of their games were put down because of it. Next, we have Kennedy self-voting. I think that put Amaya specifically off to her, and it almost sent her out. Had Amaya not flipped her vote at the last minute, Kennedy was out there. Next, we have Luis throwing out Amaya's name. Had Luis not done that, I think he's still in the game. And this is a big kicker. Are you ready? Rachel not playing her idol. Rachel found
That's
the
my
idol
sister.
almost immediately, and she did not play it and got first boot with it in her pocket. Yes, Rachel had the idol.
What a queen. What a queen.
Rodney did not
you
have
had
it.
it.
A bunch of you thought Rodney had it. But no, Rachel had the idol. But in the end, worst move does go to Aaron blindsiding Fredo, because Fredo was very much with Aaron, and I think that had Aaron stuck with Fredo, I think Aaron ended up on the bottom of a group that she went with. I think she would have been more well insulated with Fredo and all of them. So, but Rachel has mentioned in the pre-jury chat how if she needed an idol for first boot, how good is she really going to do in the game anyway? So that's why that didn't get worst move of the season. But yeah. Okay, best move. We have Daniel and Amaya flipping the vote onto Aaron, cutting Curtis, Chris tricking Hunter into voting out, or I don't know how that, whatever that was, and then voting out Danny. But this award does go to Daniel and Amaya, flipping the vote on Aaron. Curtis, I know you did have a part in this. You definitely had a part in this. But Daniel was here ready to play his idol on Amaya. He was going to be playing his idol on Amaya. So he was ready to do that move, whether Fredo was going to do it or not. And as Daniel kind of explained in his final, you two were working together on that vote. Amaya was pulling in Fredo. Daniel and Amaya were collaborating. But yes, that's our best move of the season. Okay, next step.
I will
biggest-
say, sorry, I
Go
will
for it.
add to that too. That was probably one of my favorite things to watch. I'm not gonna lie. Like watching you guys all talk to each other and being like, ooh, like behind the scenes. So yeah, that was really fun to watch.
I will say with that move though, Curtis could have flipped it at the last minute. So that he easily could have gone the other way. He was ready to go the other way. But Daniel did convince him to stay with that vote. Okay, biggest blindside. We have Alex, Danny, Luis, and Rodney. All of these were big blindsides. Alex specifically went to bed. Danny and Luis, it was kind of last minute, and Rodney had no idea his was coming. But Danny is the biggest blindside of the season. As I mentioned, this was a group that came together during the live night. I believe it was Daniel, Aaron, Rodney, Chris, and then Fredo, if I remember correctly. I don't think Fredo was on the call, but the other four were on the call. They were spitting out ideas and stuff. And then I believe that Daniel dropped Danny's name, and then Rodney said, okay, so are we just doing Danny? And it was the very last minute before we called time. And obviously Danny had no time to be able to do anything about it. Okay, next we have the funniest moment of the season. I don't know if I can really talk about this because I wasn't there for it, but Hunter in competitions is our funniest moment of the season. I think Taisha was there for this. If Taisha is able to speak on this, I don't know if she's.
I can also speak on it. I was
Absolutely.
That is fine too. Wait. But I will say, Hunter, like we were doing the competition. Hunter and Danny, by the way, I will say for these competitions were funny. So Hunter would be doing his comps. He would take his time. It's like he didn't care. He's like, if we lose, we lose. And he would be doing his comp. He was blindfolded trying to stack his cups. And then he would be like, this is too hard. He like searched for his vape. He'll vape in the middle of the comp. Then he'll search for his tea. He takes a sip of his tea. He's like, ah, this is too hard. He's like, you know what? I'm done. He gets a 9 minutes. Timeout is 10 minutes, mind you. He gets a 9 minutes and he's like, you know what? Just time me out. I'm done. So yeah, Zach was there too, so he could talk about it.
I mean, yeah, that was basically it. He just really did not care, and nor did he care to get the supplies that we asked for. So there was the challenge where you had the red solo cups, where you had to bounce the ball into them that we ended up having to switch, I believe. But he did compete in that one, and he had a tennis ball and like a mini one, and he was throwing the ball at the cups instead of bouncing it in, as if he was trying to knock over the pyramid of cups. And as Taisha said, he just kept saying, "Ugh, this is too hard, and was just taking sips of his sweet tea instead of actually trying to finish the challenge as quickly as possible. So yeah, it was always fun to watch, but also very infuriating from production.
Okay. Next, we have Social Butterfly of the Season. We have Amaya, Fredo, Kennedy, and Curtis. This does go to Fredo. If anybody else wants to speak on this. Fredo, I know, even pre-merge was talking with everybody every day. He was frustrated at how much people weren't talking. Same with Luis, both very frustrated people weren't talking, despite winning all the challenges. But yeah.
Like, I'm gonna steal this quote from one of the S interviews that I did. Fredo could make friends with a wall, and the wall will be so loyal to Fredo. Like, Fredo is just so good at talking and connecting with people and making people feel good in this game. When Fredo tries, and when Fredo does not like it, he will let you know.
Oh, I love you, AJ.
Okay. Next up, we have Alliance of the Season. So we have Chris, Daniel, and Curtis, which was, I don't think it was a chat until like the final 5 or something. But you three were working very closely together since at least the merge. And then we have the Tika 3 of Chris, Danny, and Curtis. And then we have TT4L, which I believe was Tigress Tribe for Life is what that stood for, which was Tigress minus Cody. This award does go to Chris, Daniel, and Curtis. I think Curtis gets a lot of credit here for pulling these two boys together, but what Curtis doesn't know is those two boys also were really close to each other and would go on calls, like late night calls with each other. But yes, that is our Alliance of the Season, despite the actual chat not being made until almost the end of the game.
Well, I have to sleep because I'm old.
It's fine. Next, we have the duo of the season. So we have Amaya and Daniel, Antoinette and Kennedy, Chris and Curtis, and Fredo and Luis. This does go to Chris and Curtis. Despite how it ended, you guys did work very well together pretty much this entire season. Amaya and Daniel also was a duo that worked very well together for most of the season. Daniel and Kennedy was a duo for a while, but then it kind of turned off and turned into Daniel and Amaya was closer. Antoinette and Kennedy was an interesting duo for me because they were sending each other to exile. Everybody was viewing them as a duo. I think they might be the only ones that didn't view themselves as a duo. And then Fredo and Luis would go on calls since day one of the game. You guys just didn't last long enough into the game to become the duo of the season. Okay, now we have Comp Beast of the season. We have Antoinette, Aaron, and Curtis. I want to give a small honorable mention to Daniel because Daniel did very well in those pre-merge comps, and he was also doing well in the merge comps, but just not quite pulling out many wins. But the Comp Beast does go to Antoinette. You guys all did, all three of those nominees did very well. Antoinette was safe for so many rounds. She won her 2 immunities. She won, what's it called? The team comp. Curtis also did. There were just less people competing. But you guys both very, very good in comps this season. Antoinette is self-proclaimed as not very good in comps. But she did perform very well in this season.
Yeah, can I comment on that real quick? Because literally
Absolutely.
I've played so many of these games and I've maybe won 5 or 6 comps total out of like 9 games that I've now played. So I don't know what happened this season. I swear to God, I'm normally not good at challenges. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay. Hi, Erin. Welcome. Just so you know, you were nominated for Comp Beast of the Season since you're here.
Oh my god, thank you.
Oh, me too, Aaron. Me too as well.
Yes,
Oh my god,
and Kurt.
slay.
Okay, so before we get to our big 3 awards, we do have our prod favorites. So I will let them talk about it. AJ and Taisha did have the same one. So if you guys want to introduce this, and then when you say the name, I will flash the picture.
AJ, you started or I'm starting?
You can start, Ty. Or I'll start. It don't matter. So, like, honestly, the person I gave prod favorite is like someone who I felt put their all into this game. They were such a fun personality. I always loved getting to listen to their conversations, listen to their confessionals. They were a fun personality. They were very smart. I loved getting to hear how they talk through things about this game. And honestly, I believe like if this person was not cast on the season, we would have such a different spirit. And your turn, Taisha.
Yeah, I will say the same. This person lifted my spirits all the time. Every time I was able to catch up on the game, I was thoroughly enjoying their explanations. I was intrigued by their prod chat, which we had a lot of good prod chats this season, but so I would say this person was just a joy to host, and I really overall enjoyed their experience in the game.
And this person was Fredo. So Fredo got AJ and Taisha's prod favorite. Next up, we have Sky.
Wait, Michael, I'm gonna say thank you. Shut up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
AJ, I love you so much. Thank you for doing most of my confessionals and listening me bitch about everybody. And Taisha, girl, oh my god, I fucking adore you. You're amazing. Thank you also for hosting confessionals. You guys are the best. You guys are my 2 favorite prod members.
Okay. Sky, you are next. And you can say the name before you're like, you can say the name. It's fine. We don't have to wait.
Oh my gosh, please. Okay. So this person, as soon as the interview happened, I pretty much knew that I was like, that's my prod favorite, number 1. They definitely played a really great game, and I loved watching them play this entire season. I think that just personality wise, I feel very connected to this person. I feel like outside of the game, outside of, all this online stuff, I feel like this is someone that I could definitely get along with. Sister vibes. But my prod favorite is Amaya.
Thank you. I'm literally honored. I love you so much. You were always like active in my prod chat, so thank you very much for that. I love. Mwah.
Okay. Next, we have Casey. Casey, are you here? Maybe. Casey. Okay, so I can't really move on with it without showing who it is. So I'm gonna show who it is, and if she wants to talk about it later, she absolutely can. Casey's prod favorite was Antoinette.
Wait, that's so cute. Oh my god. Thank you. I don't know if she's here, but thank you.
Next up, we have Tyler.
Hello. I will say, I think I lacked a little bit of paying attention to some of the season. So I just went based off what calls I enjoyed, whose prod chat I enjoyed, like reading, everything like that. And then this person, every single time I was on a call, like I was actually like laughing on mute. Like I was not like, I did not think the call was like funny. Like I was actually sitting in my room at my desk, like laughing out loud because of this person. So my prod favorite is Curtis. I just think Curtis's calls were always so funny, and especially when drunk Curtis comes to play, he is so sarcastic and so not serious about anything in the world, and it makes it so funny.
I literally love you more than Sky and Casey and AJ and Taisha, who didn't pick me. You're my favorite.
Oh, thank you. You're my
With
favorite
everybody.
too, as you can see.
Yeah, he can have you. It's fine.
Oh, okay, you can have me.
Okay. Next we have Zach.
So my prod favorite is somebody who, kind of like what Sky said, right from the interview, I knew that this person was going to be chaotic and so much fun to watch. I am so glad that I reached out to them and recruited them last minute to be here, because it would have been a completely different season otherwise. And Danny really brought so much to the table. You were always willing to just basically speak your mind to people, say whatever. You were not afraid to go into a chat or an alliance chat and just flat out lie if that was not the chat that you were loyal to. You were just committed, and you were totally robbed going home during a live night on a vote you couldn't even vote at. So 100% a pleasure to have you on the season, and I'm so glad that we had you.
Thank you so much. I was gonna decline because Discord games scare me, but I have a fear of rejection, and I'm glad I have a fear of rejecting people because this was fun. So thank you.
Okay. And next is mine. I had a hard time choosing because I really enjoyed all of you. But I did end up giving mine to Daniel. So Daniel, I really enjoy watching new orgers play my game, and watching newbies thrive. I think watching you grow as a player through the season was really fun for me. I think you came into this game wanting to prove to yourself, I think, a lot because of your past experience in some of the games that you've played. Obviously, you haven't played an on-cam Discord game before, but in the games that you have played, you expressed to us that you didn't do well and you wanted to prove yourself. And I think you did exactly that, obviously. I'm very proud of you and the game that you played. Okay, now we have the big three awards, starting off with Hero of the Season. So our hero nominees are Fredo, Kennedy, and Rodney. Our hero of the season is Kennedy. Kennedy was somebody that going into this final, a lot of people were planning on voting for her just because they liked her, not because of gameplay or anything, but just because they enjoyed Kennedy. And I think that's something people thought about Kennedy throughout the whole season. They didn't want to see her gone because they just liked her. And I think that is a perfect, I don't know what the word is, but description of a hero of the season. Okay, next up we have villain of the season. We have Chris, Danny, and Curtis. This one does go to Chris. Chris, you did so much this season. You should be so proud of yourself and the game that you played. There were so many times that I think the thing that gets you villain of the season is how you sent Curtis out. Specifically, I think telling him last minute could have been really good jury management, but it turned into not such a great move, as it kind of tainted some of the jury against you. I think before Curtis left, you were somebody that easily could have won this game, and I think once Curtis went in there, he had a lot of power and was able to turn a lot of the jury against you. But yeah, you are the villain of the season, and you should be proud of it.
Yeah, 2-time villain of the season already. I'll take it.
Okay, and now player of the season. We have Amaya, Chris, Daniel, and Curtis. All four of you played amazing games worthy of a win, but this one goes to Curtis. Curtis, you had such a hold on this game. There were so many times that you easily should have been the one gone. You were on the Euphrates tribe that kept losing. They should have voted you out. You were on a swap tribe that you were the only Euphrates on. They should have voted you out. You were able to put yourself back into the social relationships and keep yourself safe. You were down in numbers so many times. You were the biggest target, biggest character, especially on that merge call. You were very much out there talking with everybody. You had a lot of pull and a lot of votes. And yeah, simply you are the player of the season.
Thank you. I love you. Put me on the front of the DVD cover, like the front and center.
Unfortunately, that is Daniel.
Okay, so
but
not gonna be me.
Unfortunately, the winner gets that. But
Okay.
Okay. So that is all of our awards. There's a couple things we want to go over and kind of reveal about the season. Obviously, one thing I told you was that Rachel had her idol. So the other idols, for those that don't know, were found by Antoinette and Aaron. Those two found the original idols. Daniel found the merge idol. He did not find it right after getting the clue, though. It took him like 2 or 3 rounds after. I think Antoinette is the only other. Antoinette, did you find the link, or was it somebody else that found? No, you did not find the link. Somebody, I don't know if somebody else found it or not, but I think you were the only other one that was like really looking for it. Half idols. Chris ended up with 2 half idols. Chris had a full other idol that he could have played. Daniel had a half idol, and then the other half idol was with Tara. So Tara had a half idol. So 2 of the half idols were from Exile, and then the other 2 were from the blindfold comp. So now let me go through what Exile was each round. So the first round, Rodney got the mutiny ticket. So at any point within 1 hour of a tribal council, up through, I believe it was through the merge, he could mutiny to whatever tribe he wanted. Second round was Amaya. So Amaya had to compete in a challenge. Well, she got the option to compete in a challenge. She chose to do so. The challenge was a number path where there were numbers on a chart and she had to fill in the numbers. Unfortunately, she did not complete this task, so she lost her vote. So there was one tribal that she was not able to vote at, which I don't know how many people really noticed, but when Tara was eliminated, she was eliminated at a vote of 4-1, not 5-1. So Amaya did not vote there. So then what she would have won, which I don't think she even knows, she would have won the Fire Idol. The Fire Idol would have gotten, or would have, if played, would have allowed the 2 people with the most votes to go to a fire making challenge rather than the person with the most votes automatically going home. So then Rodney goes back to Exile. He either got to join his tribe or lead his tribe. Leading his tribe is obviously what he chose, so he got to be a captain. Had he joined his tribe, he would have gotten to see the 2 tribes that were created. He would have gotten to then pick anybody's spot to go on their tribe, and the other person would then go to Exile, rather than how it ended up being where Autumn just automatically went. So next we had Autumn at Exile, and then Gary ended up at Exile with her. So then they had an endurance challenge where they had to post in a chat the words "picks fruit" as many times as they could. However, they had to do it on the 10-minute mark. Gary ended up winning that challenge, and he won a power where he could have looked at any vote count from any tribal, including ones that he was not at, He obviously went home, but we did give him the option to give that power away after he left, and he gave it to Autumn, who ended up going home with it in the next round. So next we had Kennedy. She had to pick a fruit of the three. A couple of you ended up having to pick fruit of a three. She ended up with safety without power, which is the sanctuary power that she ended up using. The other options there were a steal a vote and a half idol. So then the next round, I don't believe anybody went, but then we had Daniel go to exile. He also had to pick one of three fruits. He ended up losing his vote at tribal, which ended up not coming to fruition because of the twist of the round where he didn't have to vote, or where he had to choose which tribal not to vote. So he lost his vote at the first tribal, so he automatically had to vote at the second tribal. But the other options were an extra vote or a safety without power. Then Chris went to exile. His options were a steal a vote, a half idol, or an extra vote. He ended up with the half idol. He had already gotten the first half idol, so that put Chris up to a full idol at that point. So then during the auction, Antoinette went to exile. She had to guess a person that would get votes at that tribal. If that person got any votes, however many votes they got, up to, I forget if it was 3 or 4, she would get an idol that lasted that many rounds. She guessed Amaya and was incorrect. And then we obviously had Aaron, Curtis, and Antoinette on exile, where Aaron opened the box and returned to tribal. And then the last exile was Kennedy. She had to choose whether she could either reveal one person's touchy subjects to herself, so she got to see the touchy subject answers of one person, but then she would have to vote publicly, or everybody would have gotten to see her touchy subject answers, but the next vote would be public. So she chose to look, I believe, at Aaron's touchy subject answers, who ended up going home that round, and then had to vote publicly at the next time she voted. She tried to use Sage Without Power to not have to vote, but unfortunately it was at the next time she voted. So when Antoinette left, she had to vote publicly. And also to clear something up, Antoinette, when you got voted out, Kennedy voted with you. So Kennedy voted for Daniel there. I think Kennedy got a little mixed up when talking tonight, but yes, Kennedy voted Daniel at Final Five. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we want to reveal. Fraud, is there anything else? Episode titles, yes. Okay, so episode titles, these weren't as spread out between people as they normally are, but we had round 1. Rachel said, "If you're boring, I don't want to play with you," which is ironic because she ended up leaving.
Mother, she knew. You ate.
Round 2 was Kennedy saying, "Your big fish or your guppy." I don't know what that means, but that. Next, round 3 was Curtis saying they need to keep each other because they're so inept. And then round 4 was Aaron saying how shady boots of him, which is about Alex. Aaron said that probably more times than I can count. Next, the Gary Autumn round, Kennedy said, "Welcome to the party, Miss Girl." And then the Tara round, Curtis said, "Don't rub on the puss like that, or don't rub on the puss like that'll save you."
And I didn't stutter.
I did. And then live night, Luis Danny round, Danny said he wasn't giving enough, so he wasn't getting enough. And then the Rodney round, Kennedy said, "I want to get my lick back." And then the Aaron round, Fredo said, "Be safe out there. It's wild," which was to Aaron. And then the Fredo round, Antoinette said, "Use me, abuse me. I don't give a fuck." And then Amaya's round, Amaya said, "I don't think I can wiggle my way out of this one." Antoinette's round, Chris said, "Anything can happen at this point." And then Curtis's round, Daniel said, "Whatever it is, it's set." Okay. Okay, and then the prod draft, production did a draft before the season, so I will tell you those teams in order that we got eliminated. So in 9th place, because we had from last season the winner Jake and 3rd placer Kira joined us for this draft. So 9th place was Tyler, who drafted Danny and Cody. 8th place was Casey, who drafted Rodney and Tara. 7th place was Kira, who drafted Fredo and Autumn. 6th place, which is fitting, was Taisha, who drafted Amaya and Hunter. 5th place was Zach, who drafted Antoinette and Alex. Antoinette was the first round draft pick. 4th place was Jake with Aaron and Curtis. 3rd place was myself with Rachel and Chris. And then 2nd place was Sky with Luis and Kennedy. And winning the draft with Daniel and Gary is AJ.
You guys robbed me. I just want y'all to remember that.
And I would like to say neither of my players ever got voted out.
Yep, AJ's never lost a person from a vote out. We love to see it. I will not go completely through everything, but Prod did do boot order lists. We did one preseason and we did one at the merge. Sky beat us all with getting 2 people exactly correct and 2 people 1 off. And then at the merge, AJ got 9 points, at 2 points for exact and 1 point for 1 off. So he had 3 people exactly correct and 3 people 1 off. Actually, no, he also had Kennedy 1 off as well, so he got 10 points. And then we also did a knockout draft with the viewers, where they had to pick 1 person per round. If that person got eliminated that round, they would be out of the draft. Russ was our winner. I don't know a last name, but Russ was the winner. And then our fantasy draft, where everybody got to pick 3 people, and then got points based on their vote out. The winning team was a team with Chris, Antoinette, and Curtis, which was obviously 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And that was Chris's loved one, Lex. So Lex won our fantasy draft. Okay. Don't know if I have anything else. Prod, am I missing anything? You guys will, at some point within the next couple days, you'll get the chart and all that stuff. I also can go through the Exile vote as well, because I know some of that became some mysteries. So round 1, Rodney got sent to exile. That was there were 4 votes for Rodney, from Antoinette, Amaya, Daniel, and Alex. Cody voted Danny there, and Kennedy voted Rachel. So round 2, Amaya got sent to exile. Fredo was the only one to send Amaya. Aaron, Luis, and Tara voted for Kennedy. Autumn voted Alex, and Gary voted for Daniel. The randomizer obviously did have a play. Round 3, Rodney got sent to exile. Aaron and Gary sent Rodney. Fredo sent Chris. Autumn sent Curtis, and Luis and Tara both sent Danny. So that was a very close one there. So then round 4, Gary got sent to exile. Rodney, Luis, and Tara all sent Gary. Curtis, Daniel, and Amaya all sent Kennedy, and Fredo sent Chris. And then when Kennedy went to exile, that was Autumn's round. Amaya and Daniel both sent Kennedy. Fredo and Curtis both sent Autumn. Rodney and Luis both sent Chris, and Tara sent Aaron. Then Daniel got sent to exile. Kennedy was the only one to send Daniel. Antoinette and Danny both sent Curtis. I believe this is on Curtis's birthday. And then Aaron and Chris both sent Fredo. Then we had Chris going to exile. Aaron sent Chris. Daniel sent Danny, and Rodney sent Curtis, but Chris was the one picked. And then obviously Kennedy sent Antoinette, that was public, and then Antoinette sent Kennedy, that was also public. Yeah, so I believe that is now it. So once again,
Luis, Aaron, and Amaya, get on camera.
Once again, congratulations to you, Daniel, as well as Kennedy. You both killed it. I'm so proud of both of you. This was a really fun cast. I really enjoyed this season. You guys did a great job. I am going to end the stream, but I'm going to leave the Zoom up. You guys are able to talk. If you have any questions for Prod or each other, you are more than welcome to ask. But yeah, thank you guys for such a great season. And that